Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of ARRI Asia Hour. My name is Kieran Menon, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. In the last episode, we started to explore the Trinity with the ARRI CSX product manager and a few guests. Today, we'll dive deeper into the Trinity with a more practical approach. We're so honoured to welcome back well-known Trinity operator, Junior Lucano. He'll be demonstrating how to operate the Trinity, and he'll be discussing the transition from Artemis to Trinity. He'll also share some tips and tricks for shooting some of those more complex scenes. Before we start, a quick reminder that you can send in your questions at any time, and we'll try to answer them throughout the episode. Just click on the question mark symbol at the bottom bar to open up the chat. All right, let's meet our guests. Hi, Junior. Welcome to ARRI Asia Hour.
Hi, Kieran. Happy to see you again, being
You
back
too.
on ARRI Asia.
All right, so let's kick things off. For those Artemis operators that are starting to look at the Trinity, could you show us the difference between operating both rigs?
Yes, so the common question about Artemis and Trinity, they always ask how heavy it is. Right now, I couldn't have a real taste to weight the difference between them, but I'm gonna show them a small difference so they can understand. Right now, everything is set up. Sorry for the back. So, as you will see, the arm is already adjusted for the Trinity. So it's in the right level, and I'm able to do all the tricks. So I don't have to pull up or nothing. The arm is almost neutral in a good position. With the same arm, without adjusting, I'm gonna switch to Artemis. And you will see already the difference, how heavy was the Trinity compared with the Artemis. The arm is too strong right now for work with the Artemis. I need to lower the power of the arm to be able to have it in a neutral position that it was with the Trinity. So I hope the guys can understand the difference about the weight. I don't know if they can see very well the arm. How compared with the Trinity, Artemis is super light. The arm just go all the way up.
So do you find that you can get through more shots in a day if you're using the Artemis compared to the Trinity?
Well, when I changed well, there's a big difference. Like there's operators, friends who they keep using both because as you can see, Artemis is lighter, so you can operate longer during the day. If you don't have to do low mode or some difficult shot, just follow it. I think it's very easy to switch to Artemis and keep doing so. In that way, you can have whole day and don't be tired. Otherwise, in my case, I decide to stay with Trinity, even if I have to do just easy movement. Once it's a personal choice. I believe the more you use the gear, the better you will understand, the more tricks you will learn, and it's gonna be part of your body. And that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years. Once I make that decision, I only bring Trinity on set, and I don't bring the Artemis anymore. So it's a personal choice. I think it depends what you're gonna do and what you wanna do and how you wanna do it. So depends of each operator. But as you see, if you switch to one setup to another one, you need a little bit of time to adjust the arm to be able to operate with Artemis, unless you have two arms, and one arm is ready for the Trinity, and the other arm is ready for the Artemis.
So now you've got the Artemis on. Is there
Yes?
a difference between how you handle the Artemis rig itself and the Trinity in terms of how you're holding the posts and...
Yeah, well, I'm trying to adjust a little bit more. It's too powerful. Yeah, a minute. Yeah, the position is a little bit different compared with the Trinity. Still needs a little bit more, but I can show the body position. Let's move this away. So for the Steadicam, normally, or what I do is keep the Steadicam close to my body. As you can see, I'm not doing this. I'm close to my body. And then obviously the tilt is with my left hand, something that in Trinity we don't have this. In Trinity you operate with a joystick. The pan, we have the same movement. And I just can go. So my monitor is down, so I cannot do this, otherwise I block my monitor, my view. So the monitor, I have to always be able to watch it, and that way I keep it like that. So it's comfortable. I like the Artemis very much. I've been using it for a long time. But as you can see, my body position, my legs, my back is kind of very compact compared with the Trinity. Now, let me just go back to Trinity. And I need to switch. I need to charge the arm a little bit. Let's see if I can do it quickly.
It's also very good timing for this
Yeah, that's what I say. We need
the
to
20th anniversary of Artemis, sorry.
Will be two arms. I think if you have two gears, that means you have two arms for sure.
Yep.
Right now, we have only one arm available, so I have to do this adjustment. But just to show different quickly, I will just don't put it all the way up because I have to go back and forward. So I'm gonna keep it just like that. Now, the difference with Trinity is the monitor is here. So with the Steadicam, with the Artemis was lower there. So when the Artemis move, the monitor is going to move over there. The Trinity, I have my monitor always here, which is more comfortable. Instead to look down, the monitor, small monitor, is always in my hand. So whatever I do with the left hand, there is no problem. My right hand is always there. I can look forward, I can walk back, and the camera can do what it needs to do, and I don't need to follow the monitor, and don't worry about there is cable or something, because there is a clear view to the monitor. The other thing that I was saying, with the Artemis, as you remember, my body was kind of like this. With the Trinity, I can do the same thing, but if I have to do the up and down, the Trinity move, then I need to push a little bit far away from me. In that way, you can see the camera how far is from my body. And by doing this, my lower back, as you can see, I'm not straight. I'm trying to counterweight the movement, because if I'm straight, I'm gonna go forward. So I need to do a little bit of counterweight and do like a V shape to be able to hold the Trinity in that position and keep it like that. And you see my arm, you see my monitor, you see the Trinity is far away. But I need to do this movement separate from my body to be able to do this.
So Junior, we do have our first question that's come through. And
Yes?
they're asking if it was a big challenge for you to adjust to using the electronic tilt function on the Trinity compared to the manual tilt function on the Artemis.
It took time, because with the Artemis, you're doing everything with one hand, and the right hand is only operating the movement. With Trinity, as I say, you have to separate your hand. It's like if you play video games, you will understand. One fingers go to pan and the other one is tilt. And this is the difference between Artemis, that you have to adjust your body. Right now, I've been teaching in ARRI, China, and that's one of the most exercise that I have to do with the new students, because as you can see, if I don't touch the joystick, the camera stay there in one level, right? But if I go lower and I need to tilt up, so this hand stay here, but my finger, the zoom on my finger of the joystick. You can see I start tilting up, I start tilting down, and this is one of the exercises that I ask the students to do at the beginning. I don't ask them to run. First is balance. Second thing is just stay there, hold the Trinity, and do this control movement. Low mode, tilt up, high mode or normal mode, and tilt down. Then we put a person or we put a mark, and they have to keep the mark in the center of the frame all the time. And this is gonna take time. It took me a couple of days, but as I say in the last Asian Hour, I was lucky that when I used the Trinity, I was in a film right away, and I have the time to train every day and right away start shooting with the Trinity in a future film. And that give me the pressure, give me the opportunity to just do real rehearsal, not just normal training. You know, you have to make it happen. You don't have too much time to make mistakes. So the joystick is something new from changing to up, and it's only about practice. It's not impossible. It's just practice about that.
So if you are doing more traditional Artemis moves, you mentioned that you do use the Trinity 100% of the time now. Do you have a profile in the Trinity to match that Artemis behavior?
Depends on the request of the DP, the director, what we have to do. Normally, I just keep it everything in Trinity move. I think later we're going to talk about some specific camera movement, and those ones we can adjust it directly with the Trinity. Unless you want to talk about that now.
Oh no, we can touch on that later once we get into it.
Yes.
Maybe we can talk a little bit about balance, because there is quite a difference between the Artemis and the Trinity, especially with the drop time on the Artemis and neutral balance on the Trinity. So could you talk to us a bit about that?
Yeah, like you say, there is the drop balance. The Artemis have to come back in the vertical mode. This is what they teach us. This is how it works. That's his neutral point. Be here all the time. That way we just need to push, and it's gonna stay there. Then we can adjust the tilt and the pan. So normally the Artemis have to be there. With the Trinity, that rule change a little bit, because we have to be able to go low anytime we want, and we have to be high in the same time. Then the neutral balance is something new. At least what I do is try to keep it my level here. There is no 3 seconds, there is no timing. It's about being in balance, being neutral. In that way, when it's neutral, a little bit of touch, and it go down, and I can hold it. There is no movement, there is no strong movement that make the Trinity go back, unless I push and I tell it to go back, and then I go back, and there is no, I hold it a little bit. I don't know if you can see my fingers. I'm not grabbing it. I just holding it with 2 fingers, just holding the power, because the neutral will be here. So the Trinity should come back here. After you do a good balance, my balance should help me to make the Trinity come back to this middle point. In that way, I push a little bit, and I control it. I don't need to be strong with this hand. And I just hold it, you see, and I can do my movement. I need to go down, I push a little bit, and then stay there. You're gonna stay there. It pushed me a little bit forward, but because it should come back to the middle, but it's not a strong movement making come back forward. So I can hold it, and I just can move with no problem and keep that. If you do a wrong balance, then you're gonna fight with the Trinity. The Trinity will try to go up, and then you're gonna fight to push down, and vice versa. So this is something that is new, and for operators changing to Artemis to Trinity is something that is a little bit uncomfortable at the beginning, but once they understand it and they practice, like I said, more practice, the more you use, you're gonna feel more comfortable with that.
So we have another question that's just come through. What type of exercises do you do to prevent back injuries? Because it's obviously quite strenuous on your back, operating all day.
I supposed to do yoga, but I'm lazy. But I have friends who do yoga. I do stretching most of the time. But it's not only your back, it's your knees, it's your leg, even shoulders, like with the Artemis. So I just recommend people just do your exercise. You're running, you're stretching. I think that would be the basic. In my case, I'm lucky enough to have a gym near my place. When I have time after shooting, no. Next day, I go 1 hour or exercise, and I just trying to keep my body fit. But something that I noticed when I was Steadicam with compared with Trinity is that with the Steadicam I was, because it's heavy but not that heavy, so you develop some muscle, but muscle enough to be able to do it. So you don't need to be that, at least in my case, I don't need to develop more muscle. But once I switch from Artemis to Trinity, I start feeling the pain, I start feeling my body changing, and because I want to keep going forward during the shooting, I start training more. It's like your body asks you to do it. It's not necessary you have to do it. In one moment you feel the necessity to, okay, let's go run, okay, let's do some push-up, okay, let's do some squat, because you feel the necessity of develop more muscle that is the normal with the Artemis. So once you're gonna switch to Trinity and operate with the Trinity, you will feel it. It's natural part of being a Trinity operator, stay fit.
So for those Artemis operators that are putting on the Trinity for the first time, obviously there's a lot of complex movements that we're going to touch on a bit later. But
yes.
What are the first more basic movements that they should try and master once they pick it up for the first time?
For the Trinity, you mean when they switch?
Yes, for the Trinity.
Well, I just was saying the first one is first the balance. That's the first thing I ask everybody to do, to understand the balance, how's the difference between them, and they have to erase everything they learned from Artemis and learn something new, even if the equipment looks the same. And the second thing after they understand the balance is the joystick. So go to low mode and try to understand the speed of the tilt. So that's one of the basic things that you need to learn, and you're gonna use it all the time. And then after that, just more control on the Trinity, more walking, start understanding the space between you and the Trinity. Because I was mentioned before, with the Artemis, you keep a little bit the equipment more close to your body. Here, you need to push it a little bit more far away from you, and that's already gonna start giving you some pain in your back, on your legs. You're gonna start feeling the weight of Trinity. But by doing this, you can do it like that. If you keep it too close, you are gonna risk to touch with your elbow, and also the Trinity can touch the monitor, so the Trinity have to be almost flying by his own. In that way, I don't know if you can see it, how the sled is far away from my body, how the camera is far away from my body. So this is gonna start giving a big difference when you change to Artemis to Trinity, having the equipment far away from you, and that gonna make the equipment heavy, your lower back start feeling, and you're gonna start getting a little bit more tired than the usual. So that's why the more training you do, you're gonna develop better muscles and be able to hold the Trinity for longer.
Okay, great. So I know you've shot lots of films, commercials, and live events using the Trinity, and
Yes.
we've seen from your Instagram, especially, some of those more complex shots execute. So we do have a few clips that we can show, and I was just wondering if you could talk us through some of the tips and tricks that you picked up on along the way for executing those shots.
Sure. Which shot we want to talk first?
I think the one of you walking through that corridor was the first one that we were going to run through.
So like I say, the trick is try to keep the sled a little bit far away from your body. And in that shot, we start with low mode. So some detail that I would like to mention is this level on the head that I put it. That helped me to understand that everything is on level. We know that if we move the sled like that, it's no problem. We still have the horizon of the Trinity. So this is a trick, this is a help, but you shouldn't take advantage of that, especially for this movement that we just show, because the trick is I need to go straight, perfectly straight. To go perfectly straight, I need to be able to help the Trinity and the sled to be all neutral in that level. In that way, you won't see the camera going right and left. If you put the sled like that, even if it's straight, when I push down, you will see the Trinity keep fixing, so it won't be straight. So for that kind of movement, keep everything on level like if it was an Artemis. The only difference is that you're gonna go from low mode to high mode. So we see this level here, the head is on level, everything is on level, and then you start pushing in, keep everything in the middle, and what I do that, I try to go high mode a little bit, normal mode when the actor is close to me, and when the actor is coming to me, let's say the actor is this, I pan with him, but I can do easily like that, and then go like that. But what I did in that shot, because I have to keep always the actor in the middle, from my experience with the Artemis, I prefer to tune the whole body. So I go, I tune the whole body, and then I just walk and keep the center. Same way like you hold the Artemis. The only difference that here the Trinity is give you that precise movement. So you just need to practice you pan when you go, and then lock the frame here, and then you can keep walking. If you do that turn, sometimes there is no space, you cannot do it here, because as you can see, I need too much space to do this. So for do that in the corridor, try to keep it as much vertical, and then you just turn and walk back. It's not easy to keep that cross in the middle of the actor. You need practice and patience, but that was my trick. I tried to do, the first take, I was trying to do this and follow him and then keep walking back. But I don't know, in my case, I feel like if my body look at him all the time, my hand is gonna be automatically follow him. The Trinity will follow him instead to only moving the hand. So that was the way I did it. Maybe other operator is more better with the hand, so he can just do this and keep going. But in my case, I don't know. I need to see who I'm doing the frame and then just dancing with him. You can say that.
We do have a question from the audience about that video. I was just wondering how fast you can walk or run with the Trinity without getting any vibrations or movement in the shot, because it looks like you were covering quite a bit of ground in that video.
Well, the vibration, it could be, or the arm is not adjusted well, or maybe something loose on the Trinity, because that's the beauty of the Trinity, is everything is well adjustment and it's okay. You can, I think I show some clips on my Instagram when I'm really running in a rural area, going up and down, and you have a really smooth movement of the camera. You don't see the vibration. Even they put me on a car, we put the Trinity in the car to do a car shot, and there is no vibration. So the vibration is very particular. It could be your arm, it could be some balance adjustment that you didn't take care of that. Technically, if everything is okay, you shouldn't have those vibrations. So that's one thing. About the speed, as much as my legs let me go fast, I show different clips. I use the Segway also and the rickshaw. When I just go for it, when the actor have to run really fast, I cannot run with them because with 30 kilos kind of on your body, you cannot be that fast. So I use other kind of equipment to follow the actor in this situation. And the image, I share it on Instagram. You can see how I did it and you can see the result. So there is no trick, there is no post-production. It's directly from the monitor. So you can see how smooth is the image. Make sure that if you have vibration, before blaming the equipment, make sure that everything is well adjustment.
Okay, perfect. We might move on to the second video, which is the 360-degree whip pan. So we'll show that video and then we'll have a quick chat about that too.
That video was for a commercial for Sprite. We have different locations, different teams, and the director wants each location, each actor have a different camera movement. And this was one of the last actors that we were doing. And I was out of tricks. Like we did a Segway pushing in, we did normal 360 up and down. In this one, the director gave me the freedom to try something new. And I just start whipping, playing with that. He liked it and he become part of my camera movement to offer some DPs or directors when they want to play around with the camera. Okay, same situation. What I was saying with the Trinity compared with the Artemis, this is one of the things that the monitor is always here in this position on my hand. So I can move the camera and I just concentrate on what I'm looking compared with the Artemis. Just gonna do it quickly. That I need to watch what I'm doing, right? So the monitor is down there. If I do this, I have to look at the monitor in this way. I don't have any more my reference there. And if I do this, obviously I have to keep looking over there. So this trick could work on the Artemis, kind of. I saw people do it, but it's always a little bit different, at least difficult for me, try to hold the ending. As you can see, holding the ending of the balance is always a little bit tricky. Something that with the Trinity, we don't have the problem, and I always see where the camera is gonna stop and help me to stop in the right way. So there's two things. That movement, you cannot do it in this position. It have to be vertical, or you can do it in high mode, like you see in the video, or it could be low mode. In that way, you can just spin and stop. So the trick is in this hand. You have time to watch the monitor, watch the lens, and see where it's going. So when it's gonna arrive to the ending, you start pressing a little bit, so like slow down the movement, and when it's time to arrive, then you can easily press, hold it, and maybe adjust a little bit right and left with your body. So the frame is gonna end up in the right point that you want it. Now, be careful because the cable that we have to the monitor, to the Trinity, is long, but not long enough to do many rounds. As you can see, I arrived to my limit. So you can do 3, 4. In that video, I start doing like 2 right, then 3 left, and I was combining between right and left to be able to keep spinning without breaking the cable. So when you have it, like in that video you see, before I do the spin, I go up, I try to keep it vertical, and then I do the spin, and then I hold it. Then I keep moving, and I push forward a little bit. Trinity, one is for the battery. If I'm too close to the sled, the battery is gonna hit my leg. So again, like I keep saying the whole thing, the Trinity have to be a little bit far away from you. It's gonna be painful, it's gonna be heavy, but that's part of the game. So you push a little bit forward, spin, and then you hold it and keep walking. Same thing, spin back, hold it, boom. You can go low mode, wait until it's vertical, and then try to keep it vertical. You can tilt up or tilt down with the joystick. If you keep it a little bit 45 degrees and you try to turn, one, it's gonna hit your face. Two, it won't have the same sensation. It's kinda waving. So the sled have to be really vertical. The tilt up, tilt down, it won't affect too much. You can control it with the joystick. Let's push, go, boom. Boom. Same thing, vertical. So once again, it's all about practice. I understand this game only after a couple of times I've been practicing, because one of the shots I was doing or tried to demonstrate with the Trinity, it was the 180, to here, and stop. So I was playing with this before I hit myself. Had to keep longer. And then by playing like this, I tried the 360 and it works. Then yes, they can see me for a couple of frames in the shot when I do the 360, but in post-production they just got 2-3 clips and I'm out of the frame, and it works as a transition. So it's good. Director is happy, everybody's happy, and
Yeah, it certainly
got
looks
a cool shot.
fantastic. Yeah, let's move on to the last video, which is you doing a Dutch angle. So we'll start playing that one now.
Cool. Because they were asking the rotation of Trinity, how much you can do it, and if you can do it. Trinity have 5 modes, so you can select which motor you want to work. Obviously, the number 1 that is on default when you turn off the Trinity is a Trinity mode, so every motor is working. For the Dutch, I choose the artemis mode, which is the number 5 mode. There's a small button, I don't think you can see it from the camera. Here, next to the joystick, there is a little white button. And with this button, you can switch mode. Right now it's in 1. For that trick, I put it in 5, so you have to press 5 times that button really quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You check in the monitor here, if it's 5, it says profile 5, and now you will see what happened. Now, if I go right, the camera go right. If I go left, I start dodging. Now, if I go down, like the Trinity, now the camera tilt down, tilt up. I start behaving like a Artemis, because now all the motors are off, are locked, they are not working. In that way, I can start. I changed to 1, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. So what I did in that shot, I start with Trinity, because the modes is really quickly. Like right now, you see, I just press 1 and become Trinity again. So the motors are stabilizing the whole image. Something like this I did. And then you can keep it like that, which is better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me see. Yeah, okay. So I can do my roll from here. which is comfortable with one part of my body. The other one is keep it vertical, as we did the trick before, and try to do it like this. It all depends on the location. It all depends what exactly you need to do. How tall is your talent? Because if your talent is short, you have to go there a kid, then it's better to keep in this mode and just roll with it. You can even go low mode and do the dodge. Like in that scene I think I remember I did a low mode with a wide angle, and we just move to see the whole environment. And then we need to go to her face, kind of, and we just roll with that. And then as soon as we finish, the director say, okay, we got it, just change on Trinity, and then I just keep doing the movement that DP was asking to make, and everything is stabilized again. So it's very quickly to change the mode. You just need to be able to practice with your hand, because you have the tilt and you have, now there's another button for change the mode. So you have two functions here in the small joystick. It's very inconvenient, but it's all about practice.
Perfect. It looks like we have a few questions from our audience. So the first one is, when you change the camera configuration, do you adjust the Trinity software, or do you just do a hardware balance adjustment to get it right?
I'm sorry, I lost you a little bit.
We're just talking about when you change the configuration of a camera, do you then go into the Trinity software to adjust the settings for that camera and that payload?
No, once there is, when you buy the Trinity is new, they have already a setup, which you can download the application and you can still adjust the power of the motors, which in my case I did. I lowered the power a little bit. Once you have the power, if you have to change, if I'm working with a Mini and I have to change lens, the power won't change that much. Only when it's a big camera, 65 or A6T, maybe you have to power a little bit more, but the motors of Trinity are really powerful. So once you find your right configuration, you can work even with a profile default that ARRI sent to you, but depends what camera lens you have. You are able to adjust a little bit with the computer, but once you have those numbers, you are able to keep working with no problem. I have my setup, like I've been working this week crazily with different setup. I didn't have to change my setup. It was the same. I just need to play with the mode, if I have to dodge, change to number 5 or come back to Trinity, and that's it. Unless I have to work with a film and then I have to work with 65 or some other camera, I bring my computer, double check that the numbers are okay, and just go with the whole film. It's not necessary to keep changing the setup every job.
Well, that kind of leads us into the next question from the audience, which is, what is the max payload for the Trinity? Have you tried using an LF or a 65 or bigger lenses in the rig?
I was the first one of the first one using the first LF, the big one, before the mini LF, and it was heavy. I thought it was heavy, but then arrived the 65, and I was able to put on the 65 for a film, and I think that's so far the most challenged setup, because for do the balance, same as the Artemis, you have to put a counterweight. So the difference, even a little bit more difficult with the Trinity, is that because it's neutral, whatever is here, you have to counterweight here. So it's having kind of two cameras at the same time to be able to be neutral. Compared with the Artemis, that at least one side have to be heavier than the other one, so in that way it can come back to the middle. So if you can see also the difference between the Artemis and the Trinity, which is very clear to understand the weight, how different they are. Check the difference, how high is the camera from the gimbal. compare with the Artemis with the camera. There is a big difference that you have. And then from this size, obviously you have to do the control weight to be balanced in the neutral. Look the space here. Compare with the Artemis. If you see it, it's kind of the same long here, here. That's make the Trinity longer because you double the weight, you double the long of this size to this size. Here to the gimbal, to the camera, is this high, but check it out how it's from here to down. It's longer, it's heavier. So it's two different gears to the different things, and you can already understand how if you change to Artemis, when you go to Trinity, there is some part of your body that have to adjust because physical and technically you can see that there is no same way to operate.
All right, that takes us to our next question. On the Trinity, are you always operating in neutral balance, or do you ever add drop time to execute a shot?
No, what I play with the Trinity sometimes is the pendulum. When I need to run fast, this pendulum, I try to block or don't make it move that much. Kind of like this. So if I have to run, you see the pendulum doesn't move that much. If I have to do that, I don't block it. It still is moving, but it's not moving that much. When you have to do some smooth movement, then if I don't need to run, I leave it a little bit more open, more freedom to keep moving. In that way, if I go down, it will move. And see the control weight is collaborating with the weight. Personally, I don't like it to loose, so I try to keep it a little bit. You see, I don't know if you can llegar. It's moving. No, it's smooth, but that's my preference. Don't keep it so smooth. You just go slowly and keep moving. So you have some little bit of friction before keep moving, but that's my preference. Some operators like a little more smooth, but if I have to start running, then I lock it a little bit. But my balance is the same. I don't change my balance. I don't change my profile. Only the pendulum, which is really important for the Trinity, taking care of that.
Okay, great. So just to wrap things up, we do have a model in your office. So I was wondering if you'd be able to show us a few movements with some talent in front of you.
Yes, just for the thing of the difference between Artemis and Trinity once more. That is very nice. I will ask Rebecca, please, if you can be here with us. Just close to me a little bit. Okay. Let me just adjust. So one of the beauty thing of Trinity, I'm gonna show first with Artemis, is how close we can get with the actress. So if you can see, we have to do a close-up. I can be here, but if I have to pass the model to one person behind her, I have to go to my model, have to go to her left, and I just pass her, but I have to be always careful to don't touch her because there is the monitor in front of the camera. Sometimes even the monitor is far away from the lens. So the first thing I have to be careful. Now the model doesn't move in this case, but if there is an action is seen, then it's very dangerous to be that close. So compare with the Trinity. Maybe a little more there. Okay, a little more back, please. Sorry. Kira, can you see me?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it in vertical again, just compare with the Artemis, and I can do this. Now, there is no monitor in front of me, which allows me to go closer. Obviously, I won't go this close to the model, but let's see that there is someone behind her. And as you see, the camera is very close to her. In my monitor, I don't see her anymore, and I can reveal her, and then just walk with the two of them. Now, the other thing is that because I don't need to be that close to her, she can dance, she can move her arms, and I can keep the camera still close to her. I push my body a little bit back, so in that way, if she's dancing or has a dress or something, it will be easy and safe, and the camera keep close to her. The camera keep passing around her. Something that with the Artemis, I have to move with the Artemis. I can move that, but then the monitor is gonna take risk to be hit by the talent. That's the one thing. And then the obvious thing that you can do is that once you start with the face, you can go low. You can go to detail of the feet, go up, follow the hand, and then go to a close-up again. So this is the obvious thing. And the other thing that we can do is, right now, with the shadow, the camera normally is here. With the Artemis, you have to do this, right? Let's say with the Artemis, we want to start a little bit low, like that, and then try to go to a close-up. So my limit of the camera will be kind of like this, but the director wants a little bit more closer. My limit is this one, because the monitor is already touching on her. So the movement should be like that, and then I go like this. Right? Can you follow me, Kieran?
Yep.
I need to hear you just to understand that you're alive, because
Yeah,
I cannot see you.
We're still there.
Okay. And just 1 second. And with the Trinity, I can just go low. Let's do the same like the Artemis, just to make the difference clear. So we have like this, and the Artemis do this, right? But with the Trinity, I can just be more comfortable, a little bit like that. And with the joystick, again, something that people need to practice, is just tilt up, go up, tilt down, and get closer. Obviously, right now I'm very close, but I don't have a space, and I just try to make clear the difference. The other thing also, we say we have to do this like this with the Artemis because of the monitor. I don't need to have this position anymore. Just here, pointing down. And if we want to play more, even more lower, tilt up, and just go directly to the close-up. And this thing, not having the monitor there, helps a lot to be able to be more freedom.
Yeah. All right, Junior.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Rebecca, for joining us as well. It's time to wrap it up now. So we'd really like to thank you so much for joining us today. We've all learnt so much from you. So yeah, all the best for the future, and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you again. Hope to see you again. Wish everyone to stay safe. Hopefully by the end of the year or next year, as soon as possible, we finally can start organizing some classes around Asia, around the world. So people who want to change from Artemis to Trinity, they were able to practice more, understand more the balance, and we can have more Trinity operators.
We certainly look forward to it.
Cool.
I'd also like to thank our audience for joining us today and for sending in all of your questions. If you do have any more questions, you can send them to us here, or you can go to arri.com to find out some more information. And we'll be posting a link to that in the chat so you can check that out. Last but not least, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We'll be posting this episode online soon so you can rewatch this. and you can rewatch all the previous episodes on the ARRI YouTube channel. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.